Welcome to Intuitive Seek. My name is Mary Treen, and as an intuitive guide, energy healer, and meditation teacher, I aim to bring you a grounded approach to all things energy and intuition. Everything I share is with the hope to help you remember how your unique power of intuition is your own greatest teacher. Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to the week of November 25th. Welcome back to those of you who listened last week to this new iteration of Energy Impressions, where I'm offering weekly energy impressions. And in these episodes, I dive into the energy impressions, forecast, insight, guidance about the week ahead. Ideally, the intention of these energy impression episodes are to help you receive more clarity, but connect to the clarity of your own inner guidance. Connect to the clarity of the language of your intuition. So I hope that you feel supported, maybe inspired, and that a bit or most or all of it resonates with you and helps you listen closer to your intuition. Now, before we dive into the episode, I wanted to just check in, see how you are feeling, how last week was. I know that I can't hear your answers to these questions right now, but you're always welcome to reach out to me with anything that may come up from these episodes or any questions you have about my intuitive energy healing and any of the offerings I have to help support you. And thank you to everyone who reached out about last week's episode and that it resonated with many of you. And I'm so glad because it really helped me as well. One of the key pieces that I want to bring to this week from last week was about slowing down. Slowing down, connecting to the pace that you are meant to be moving at, really being aware of when you are rushing, feeling like you should be rushing because of someone else around you or the world around you. So for those of you that resonated with, keep connecting to where you need to slow down. And if you are able to slow down, if you have some ownership over that pace, sometimes we don't, but if you do, prioritize slowing down. I know it can be hard and difficult, especially right now, moving into the holidays, big holiday time in the States, and then moving into the holidays for December around the world. And yeah, it can be hard. But from last week, it became very clear that for our health and well-being, specifically energetically, slowing down may be the most vital thing for us to remember as we move through the last week of November, but also into December. Now, maybe another week, the insight will come that, oh no, we're ready to rush. We are ready to start moving. But remember, slowing down does not mean stopping. It means connecting to the pace that you are really meant to be moving at. Slowing down so that you don't stop out of necessity. And if you have difficulty slowing down, moving into a practice with meditation, a simple grounding meditation every day. I have that 8-minute one, just under 8 minutes on this podcast feed. If you scroll to, I believe, August 2021, that can be very easy to incorporate. But also, there is a Find Your Breath meditation. That's on my Insight Timer feed. And that's find your breath in 4 minutes. So I know that you have 4 minutes in your day, for sure. Maybe 8 minutes feels too much, but you definitely have 4. So if you're having difficulty slowing down, but it feels like you could really use it, maybe try the 4-minute find your breath meditation for 4 days in a row and see how that shifts your pace. See how that affects your feeling of how much energy you have, how it impacts maybe some overwhelm that you may be feeling. That's one of the results of slowing down. One of the rewards is that it can allow you to not feel like everything is piling up to such a degree. You get a bit more of a perspective, more of a true perspective when you slow down, find your breath, and aren't trying to keep up with the pace surrounding you. I know it's a really important reminder for me. So thank you for helping me remember. All right, so let's dive into the energy impressions for this week of November 25th, starting on a Monday, because I love the freshness and kind of global feeling of Monday being the first day of the week, where Sunday tends to be a day of rest for many of us, or we want it to be. And another reminder for anyone who's listening to this for the first time, these energy impressions are where I connect through meditation to receive guidance, insight, anything that we may need to help us listen to our hearts and our intuition, help us connect to ourselves and our highest good in practical ways. And because these are weekly now, some will be longer, some will be shorter, but I will always be here for you to anchor into the week ahead. So thank you for being here. All right, so let's dive into your intuitive week of November 25th, 2024. So right away, the first thing that I experienced in my meditation was the shape of a pretzel, which also felt like a bit of wonder, a little bit of lightness, a message of, let's bring a bit of lightness to this week because we may need it. There could be a bit of thick, denser energy that we are experiencing. And that pretzel shape was a big reminder to pay attention to when you may be contorting yourself or trying to shape yourself into fitting something that is just not for you. And on the other side of that, it's a reminder to be flexible, to be able to move into shapes and ways that you may not feel as comfortable in, but that you don't feel like you're trying to fit in. So this week, are you being too flexible or are you not being flexible enough? And there was an aspect of that pretzel shape that just felt really interesting. So I wanted to look up kind of the history of where the pretzel came from and where the first pretzel shape came from. And there's not a full consensus, but I did find that the earliest recorded evidence of pretzels, they appeared in a German crest for the German Bakers Guilds. And the German name Brezel, they believe may have come from the Latin word bracilis, which means bracelet or little arms. And my intuition, when I looked this up, felt like that was also a message for this week about what we are reaching for. Are our goals and actions that we're reaching for, are they for highest good? Are they for the highest good of all in our perspective or opinion? Or are they keeping us more caged and closed off? Are you being more open or are you being more closed? But then there was another aspect of the pretzel that I wanted to share because it may be a little bit of a synchronicity for some of you out there. Because the earliest recorded evidence of pretzels, the date that it was recorded, the first time it appeared in the German Bakers Guild, was in the 12th century, but the year was 1111. And 1111 is one of those numbers that can bring our attention back to listening to our intuition, paying attention to what we were thinking of or feeling when 1111 comes around. Some people like to make a wish, but it also felt like a message about this week. Pay attention to signs, synchronicities, but maybe even specifically the number 1111. When it shows up, pay attention again to what you are thinking, feeling, experiencing, and allow that moment to be a moment for you to check in. Check in with your heart and your inner knowing. So this week may be filled with signs all around you. They always are, but this may be the week to pay attention to them. And then the next aspect of my meditation was a big focus on the solar plexus. Now, our solar plexus, a few inches above our navel, this is the energy that we hold where we can really connect to our power, where we often can feel and hold the energy of our will and our trust, where we can connect to the power to feel more clear and confident in our decisions, and connecting to that fearlessness for us to be seen, to not be afraid to be seen in who we are, in our authentic, powerful light. So this focus on the solar plexus really felt like this week, pay attention to how you're feeling in that area. And if you are feeling some unease or tension or tightness, connect to, perhaps, what part of you is not trusting yourself and your experience. Maybe there's a part of you that feels like life is not digesting easily. Are you seeing things in their truth or clearly? But connecting to your power and that light, is there anything in your life that is feeling like it's dimming your light? And maybe it's a call to pay attention and care for this part of your energy. I do have a healing meditation on the podcast feed for it. I also have that on my Insight Timer as well. So if that resonates with you, maybe take some time this week and give some care to your solar plexus. And then for this week in my meditation, we had the porcupine, a grounded animal, reminding us, just like last week, this is a time to stay grounded. Now, the porcupine can represent so many different aspects of our energy, but it can remind us about renewing our self-respect, reclaiming it. That connects to our solar plexus as well. Of course, porcupines always help us remember our boundaries and the importance of them, but also courage and wonder and curiosity. The porcupine also represents allowing vulnerability, knowing that we have the ability to protect ourselves, so we are not afraid to share vulnerable aspects of ourselves. There's also symbolism around being at a crossroads in life, which feels like a calling back to connecting to that solar plexus energy so that you can really make anchored, authentic decisions from a sense of power. And another beautiful symbolism connected to the porcupine is through their quills, which have been used for many years historically as a writing tool. So the porcupine also represents the energy of healing through storytelling. So is there a story that has been waiting to be shared, even just to yourself, that will offer you some healing? Sharing our story is so empowering. So this also feels like a connection to the focus and attention that our solar plexus is asking for. But another beautiful thing about the porcupine that I really paid attention to this time was that as they get older, they are often seen on their hind legs, standing on them, but also kind of moving back and forth. And you can look up videos of this. You can see them kind of waving their paws, and it looks quite rhythmic, and it almost looks like they're dancing. And this felt like another message, guidance, reminder that we can glean that lightness that I was connecting to from the beginning, to bring some dance back into your week, back into your life. If things are feeling extra heavy, extra emotional, difficult, hard, it may. But maybe what you need in the face of that, not to ignore it, but to help you move through it, is to do some dancing. Put on a song that you love and just dance to it. When is the last time that you just danced? And I don't know if you've seen, it was quite popular. I think it went pretty viral a few months ago. It was this study on depression, and that dance was the number one most impactful way of alleviating the symptoms of depression over everything else. There's a reason why so many cultures, every culture, not so many, I would think every culture has dance, because it is vital to being a human being, moving our bodies, moving to a rhythm. And I'll say kind of the cringy thing, dance like nobody's watching. And that's the truth, because that's how you can be more vulnerable. So can you be vulnerable this week and allow yourself to just dance? And then I wanted to share this excerpt from the book Animal Speak. This is Cross-Cultural Symbolism by Ted Andrews, and this is about the porcupine. He writes, "Porcupines can show how to resist the barbs of others. They can teach you how to enjoy life and maintain a sense of wonder about it, especially in spite of negative conditions. They can show you how to shuffle along without too much seriousness and still achieve. They can teach you how to protect the inner child from all of life's barbs, and can show you the strength in your vulnerability." And I loved that excerpt for this week. It felt very timely. Okay, so yes, I hope that some of those energy impressions, most or all, resonated with you and helped you feel a bit more connected to how you're going to move through the week. And here are some journal prompts, soul questions. You can answer them as a voice note or just something to ponder or think about. But I'll offer a few, because I do find for myself, answering these kind of questions at the beginning of the week can really help you gain more clarity and foster that relationship with your intuition. Because everything you need to know, you can connect to and receive from within. And that's what Intuitive Seek is all about. Everything you're seeking is intuited, because your intuition is your greatest teacher. And all you need to do is practice learning how it speaks to you. It's a language, so it takes time. And that's how I find that these energy impressions, and specifically the journal prompts, really help. So one question you could ask yourself, connect to your intuition, get still and grounded, and feel into the answers for these. The first question: how can I make sure my needs, the ones that keep me filled, how can I make sure my needs are met? How? Connect to practical ways. What can you commit to? Trust what comes quickly, and it may be really simple. Don't overthink it. And another question for this week you may want to answer: have you created boundaries around your time and energy? And then you can detail how you have, how they have worked for you, what they have done for you. But you can also write about why you haven't and what has happened when you haven't created those boundaries. What happens to your time and your energy when you're not prioritizing it? And then another aspect to that question could be, do you respect the boundaries of others? Do you respect the boundaries of others? Be as honest as you can if this one resonates with you. And then write about, what does that tell you about what you need? And then the last question you may want to answer for this week is about your solar plexus. So if your solar plexus holds the energy of your inner fire, of your inner power, of your will and your trust, how are you feeling powerless? Write about how you are feeling powerless. Trust what comes and do not judge what comes with any of these questions. So how are you feeling powerless in your life? And what do you need to feel more empowered? What do you need? And why? And a few things that may help, and I did mention them earlier, I believe, is connecting to how or what has been dimming your light. And where have you been feeling unsafe to really be seen, to really shine, to really be in your power? Where in your life are you being too flexible, contorting, pretzeling yourself into a shape, trying to fit into something that you do not fit into? And again, really trust what comes to you. Everything that you feel or connect to as these answers kind of bubble up when you're listening to the questions, those are all for you. They're all ways for you to connect to yourself and your intuitive knowing in a deeper way. And to help you move through not only the week, but through much more of the rest of this year and into next year with more clarity and more understanding of what you need and what you don't need. So I'm wishing you a beautiful week ahead, or whenever you find this. Trust that whenever you listen is when you are meant to find it. And thank you so much for listening to this episode of Intuitive Seek, your intuitive week energy impressions for November 25th, 2024. I would love to hear if you resonated with some or all of this energy that I'm feeling and moving through. And if you have any thoughts or questions, please do not hesitate to send me a message. You can do it through my website at treenlight.com or through my Instagram at treenlight.healing. And of course, if you're curious about working with me, you can explore all the ways I can support you through the links in the show notes. And if you haven't already, hugely appreciated if you subscribe or follow wherever you get your podcasts. And if you feel called to give some support, then please share this episode with a friend or leave a review. That would be so, so appreciated. And thank you very much again for listening. Be kind to yourself, and I'll talk to you next week.
Hi, Auntie Mary. I just wanted to say something very, very mean.